Welcome to the very first episode of Mineocast, where we are just going to talk and see where things go. Um, we're going to talk about what happened last night on Monday Night Football. I know a lot of people are talking about this. I happen to be Bills Mafia going back to officially 1989, but my first memory when I think about it is actually at a Bills game in like 1980. So I know that I've seen the logo before 1989 and all that stuff and whatnot. But officially I started following the team in 1989 when we lost the playoff game to the Cleveland Browns. Ever since then, I've been a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, and I have followed the team as much as a fan can follow a team. So last night was pretty rough to see that happen. I mean, not just because of your team, but football. I mean, I've seen injuries, I've seen things happen on the field. I've watched the Chris Bird incident. I've seen a lot of people broken necks, broken legs, things like that. But they're gonna live. This is a completely different thing, at least in pro sports. What people really don't talk about, especially they didn't talk about in the NFL Network, I noticed, was that this happens at least once or twice a year. People die on the field almost at least every year at some level of the game, be it at the Pop Warner, high school, college, semi-pro, pro, whatever league. It happens. I mean, this is not a thing that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in the NFL. In fact, on October 24th, 1971, a 28-year-old wide receiver named Chuck Hughes of the Detroit Lions died of a heart attack on the field of play. He had an undiagnosed heart issue where Chuck's coronary arteries were 75% blocked, and he had a history of heart issues in his family. So, I mean, these things can happen. Do we know what caused the cardiac arrest last night? No, we don't. We don't know if it is something that he took, ingested. We don't know if he was hit a certain way and it took a little while for things to work out, or maybe he had a pre-existing injury we didn't know about. He could be non-diagnosed as well. He might have something wrong with him that the doctors never caught. It's possible. We don't know anything yet. So it's really hard to analyze what happened. So instead of going into what happened, we can go into, it happened and how did the NFL deal with that? Well, the NFL deal with it, I thought, pretty well. They had a protocol for it. They executed the protocol. They controlled the flow of information, which I think is very important, especially in this, because if you let tidbits of information just float out there, people will just take it and run with it. And that's what happens almost all the time when something crazy happens. I thought the NFL handled it very, very well. How ESPN handled it, yeah, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman did a very good job of deflecting as best they could. They understand that they weren't equipped to really have that conversation, so why do it? Then we go back to the Monday Night Countdown crew, and they're not equipped emotionally to really deal with a situation like this, and they went ahead and did it anyways, and they fell flat on their face, in my opinion. Look, I mean, Bubba McFarlane and Susie Culver, they're really good at their job. They know about football. They're really good at it. But they're not people who deal with people in emotional situations on TV where their opinion is the be-all, end-all of opinions. So they just weren't equipped. They're not the kind of people that do that kind of show and are able to do that kind of stuff, and that's okay. I just think that the producer should have identified that after the first segment. They went on with them and said, nope, we can't have you guys talk on camera. Because I think it was bad that they did. But they tried. So, I mean, the intentionality was there. They were really trying to do the right thing there, and they just weren't capable of doing it. That is not a fault of theirs. That's the fault of the people above them that say, yeah, you can do this. Go ahead and do it. We're paying you. Well, that's what happens. Bills Mafia, which is Bills Fandom, that is just a term that was coined in 2010 to describe what the Bills fan base is and represents. The term Bills Mafia was coined in 2010 by Reid. Buffalo Bills fans have always been intelligent football fans. We know what's going on in the game. We know about our team. We know who's a free agent. We know how much money we have in the bank to spend. And we have absolutely lobbied other players to come play for Buffalo. Even when we had bad teams. I mean, it's got easy to get people to come play in Buffalo. The weather is fucking terrible. But the fan base is awesome. And I can see why people are attracted to that. You know, over the decades, you know, players will, we support, the Bills Mafia will support its own players. I mean, and in this case, it was even crazier. They actually found an old toy drive of the player, and it was looking for like $2,500. It was like 300. It was like 3 years old, and Bills Mafia scrounged up almost $4 million for this guy's foundation. I mean, that's insane. That's crazy. But that's how Bills Mafia is, though. We're fucking crazy like that. I mean, Bills Mafia donated monies to Andy Dalton, who played for the Cincinnati Bengals at the time. In 2017, at the end of the year, that win from the Bengals put the Bills in the playoffs. So Bills Mafia sent Andy Dalton's, foundation all this money and raised almost I don't know, a lot of money. I didn't look it up. I should have. Sorry. And, but that's what Bills Mafia does. We're sneaky motherfuckers. And we're getting it. We got it done. We got it done when it comes to support. Last night, Darmar Hamlin suffered a heart attack on the field. The injury actually happened at 8:55 p.m. and by 9:14 p.m. CPR had been administered on the field. Again, I'm not going to speculate. I mean, how long was he not breathing? Was there any brain damage? Time is going to tell. He's currently in critical condition. The NFL put out a statement today saying that this game between the Bills and the Bengals would not be made up this week. So we don't know the status right now of the league, the playoffs, and the game. I know it's more than a game here. We're talking about a guy's life. But I'm going to have conversations that are uncomfortable and that revolve around the things that the people on NFL Network and ESPN and CNN and Fox won't talk about. That's just who I am. I'm not totally insensitive here. I absolutely am. I mean, I've been a wreck all day, trying to wrap my head around this. I made a post, on my Facebook, which I took down because it stirred up some stuff. Instagram, it's still on there. But, I mean, I basically said, I have no words. And I said, why us, why him, and why me? And it's not about being, all about me, all about me. I'm not saying that at all. When I say that, I mean the stigma of being a Bills Mafia. Not just the stigma, but the life. I mean, I've seen this team go through so much crazy stuff. This year alone, all the crazy stuff adds up more than the whole crazy stuff that's happened over the years. It's all, I mean, almost all of it's happened this year. I mean, there's been I could pull stuff out from 1990, 1988, 1989, the 90s, all that stuff. There's crazy stuff that happened, but not as much that's happened in this 1 year. I mean, 12 months, literally 12 months, it's been crazy drama in the city of Buffalo. And for the football team itself, too. I mean, we could just go down the line here. I mean, it's been one thing after another between losing to Kansas City with 10 seconds to go in the game to the shooting at the grocery store. Oh, my God, the shooting. And then the punter, with his possible, rape allegations and whatnot. It's just, there's so much. And then Josh Allen gets hurt, and then other players get hurt, and then the weather aspect, or where we had to travel for weather, and then this happens. I mean, it's just one thing after another. I can only think of one other incident that happened, which was when the college marshal, their football team, pretty much died in a plane crash. I mean, that's the only thing I could really put up to this season that's happened to a sports team. I mean, I don't know how these guys are going to get mentally prepared to play Sunday against the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots are coming into Buffalo, and it's a win and in situation for them. They win, they're in the playoffs. And more than likely, they'll play Buffalo in the playoffs. So it's like, it's a double dipper, man. Like, I mean, I don't want to say that, hey, we got to get your head in the game, but it is pretty important that when they do get on the field on Sunday, that they try to win this game as best as possible. I know that's hard thing to talk about right now, but that's what I'm here to talk about. The professionals can talk about all the human elements of it, and that's great. And I do feel I'm not heartless. I'm not heartless about this at all. I just make connections in a different way. And I look at how this affects so many people and the billions of dollars that are on the line of the NFL. I mean, this is a big deal. The Buffalo Bills, if they would have won last night outright, they would be in the driver's seat for home field advantage. At the moment right now, Kansas City owns that position. And if they win Sunday and we win Sunday, they will get home field advantage unless they make the game up. I don't think they're going to do that. They might. They might say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play week 18 as week 18, and then the Bills and Bengals are going to play Wednesday night. And, is that fair to both teams? Absolutely not. But the winner may get home field advantage and get a bye week. So, I mean, there's so many crazy situations and scenarios here that we can go into. Yeah, I mean, prayers, to Darmar. I mean, he's a great human being. I mean, it's clear when you watch NFL Network and you watch some of the things he was doing. They did a little biopic, for his upcoming draft and whatnot. The guy does a lot. He does way more in life and for the community than play football for the Buffalo Bills. This is an absolutely devastating blow to the Bills' psyche, to their team, their brother. It's a family member. I mean, you openly saw guys crying and weeping on the field. I mean, they've never experienced anything like that since probably they were children. And when I mean that, I don't mean that on the field. I'm saying that emotional fright. I mean, most of those guys are all alpha dogs, big-time alpha dogs. So, I mean, when was the last time that they were made to feel like a little bitch? And that's a moment that makes you feel like a little bitch. Absolutely. When you feel that small, no matter what ego you have, no matter how many millions of dollars you have, it doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter because the universe treats us all like meat at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm going to be pretty cynical to say that, but it's fucking true. It's so true. So yeah, as far as, this vlog or podcast, or I'm going to call it Mineocast and just see where it goes. I want to do these to coincide with my blog because sometimes people just won't read my blogs because they're too long. And I get that. They're too long. But hey, you know what? I'm the TMI guy. If you want to know something, I will tell you the backstory on how we got there before I even start the story. That's how I am, because I believe that context is way more important than the message being delivered. If I tell you something in like Twitter language, 140 characters or whatever it is now, and I don't know how I can tell you a story in that frame of time. I can't. But yet we are forced to communicate in that manner in these short little blips. I don't do that, especially when I'm trying to have an argument about something that's a big topic. Like abortion or spirituality or religion, politics, whatever it might be. You got to dive into these things and you got to come with an analytical mind. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're just going to, use your 140 characters to try to, drop mic somebody, I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, unless you're actually making a point, so I feel like some of these topics, they're just too big for Twitter. They're too big for, little short blips. You have to sort of, say what you got to say, use examples, tell a story in a sense. But I want to write more fiction. I want to get paid for this. I don't want to, keep doing this for my own benefit. And it is for my own benefit because it makes me understand how things are in the world. Because I really feel like the world's upside down. I literally feel like I went to bed in 2012, woke up a day later, and the world was upside down. And I can point to examples, but I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I'm not talking about alternate universes. I just think it's fucking weird. And I can't explain it, and whatever I can't explain, I try to quantify in some way, and that's how I'm working it out. I'm writing about it. 12 years in since 2012, and things are not getting better; they're getting worse. My health is bad. I have diabetes, but my diabetes is not like your typical diabetes. I have every extreme problem one can have with diabetes, as if it was like a virus. I mean, my body literally is an addict for sugar. And I can tell you this because it gives me false positives. We're getting way off topic now. Now I'm just ranting and raving about one subject after another. But I do want to coincide these podcasts with these Mineocasts with my blog, and we'll talk about those subjects. Or you can write in stuff if you want to talk about them. Talk about them. Right now, I don't have the actual hardware to do live broadcasts, so I have to pre-record these and then just post. This first episode, I'm not going to edit it at all. I'm not going to add graphics and do all that nonsense. I'm just going to air this and see where it goes, and as I get more proficient with the software and creative juices flare, I may doll some of these up, but for the moment, I'm not going to do that. So at the moment, only one player in NFL history has actually physically died on the field, and that is Chuck Hughes. And he died of the same issue, a heart attack on the field. Because of his death, the NFL has protocols in place for these kind of things. Now, were they absolutely prepared to execute all those protocols? Probably not, because who could anticipate that this could happen? Especially in the manner that it happened, because he got hit. The hit didn't seem overly, crazy. I mean, kudos to ESPN for only showing it once. If you want to go find it. But, it was replayed once, and you got a clear shot of what happened. And it wasn't a crazy hit. I mean, it was a good hit, but it wasn't like anything that would say is going to, incapacitate somebody. But it did. Whatever happened, and he got up, popped up like if nothing happened, took 2 steps and went boom, crashed like a heavyweight in a Tyson fight. And within 15 minutes, they're doing CPR on him. I mean, that is unheard of. So yeah, I mean, we're not going to make the game up this week. We are the game's in limbo for the Cincinnati Bengals, and it absolutely affects the NFL and the playoff structure on how things are going to be. Like I said, there's billions of dollars on the line here, not just for NFL revenue and payroll, the players' checks, all that stuff, but TV deals. Don't forget Vegas gambling and all that jazz. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars are being affected here. Also, 5 teams are affected by this. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, and the New England Patriots are all affected by this game not happening. So I hope the NFL can figure it out and make it logistically work out in some way, because I really would hate to see this be like an asterisk season, especially if the Bills decide to forfeit the season or something along those lines. I mean, we don't know the mental health effects of what really happened here on these players. There might be some guys that are scared straight, like they may never pad up again. I mean, I'd be surprised if it actually happens. I don't think it will. I think that, because because Darmar Hamlin is still alive, I think that's not going to happen. But if he passes in the hospital, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not playing devil's advocate here at all. All I'm doing is tackling a logistical conversation in an analytical way on a different subject related to this. The NFL won't talk about this. They don't want to talk about this. It's uncomfortable for them to talk about it, and I understand. But I'm not the NFL, so I can talk about whatever the hell I want, and it's my fucking Mineocast. I don't think I'm being insensitive by bringing up these topics. Somebody has to. So yeah. So yeah. Um, what else should we cover here with the game and the Bills? Um, yeah, like I said, I mean, this has been going on. Strange things have occurred with the Buffalo Bills for as long as I can remember. Like I said, since '89, I've seen something. There's always something. The '89 season, there's things that happened. The '90 season, the '91, '92, '93. How can you even forget the '92 season with the comeback? There's the playoff games against Miami in the later '90s. That went really bad. That Music City Miracle. I mean, there's so many things that have happened that it's like, you could say the Bills are, quote unquote cursed, which they're not. But, I mean, you just don't see these things happen to another team in the variety of strangeness that it's happened. I mean, I would love to see a filmmaker do a documentary on the fucking weird shit that's happened to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it would just be... I mean, you can't have that many coincidences. And for the people that think the NFL is rigged, how can you predict rigged stuff like that? It's just so utterly random that you can't write a story. You can't write a fictional story like that. It's so weird it has to be real. And I'm not dismissing that, I'm not dismissing it either. I'm just saying that, look, I mean, how do you explain this and how do you explain that? I mean, yeah, sure, you can explain a few things, but you can't explain it all. And the deeper you get into it, the weirder it's going to get. So yeah, my website, mineofilms.me. There on the front page, you'll see my coming soon. These are the blogs I plan to write. I have some fictional pieces I'm going to write, but I'm also going to do these. And I want people to, obviously like, subscribe, and comment. I need feedback. If you would prefer a more polished video, we can do that. Maybe. I don't know. It's a matter of time. If you rather would have like an unscripted thing like I'm doing here, I mean, I have a couple bullet points up on my computer, but other than that, I'm pretty much just free talking here. But if you want something a little more structured, we can do that. And to be honest, I probably would feel more comfortable. I think when I write a blog and then actually do a cast about the blog, I think it'll be a lot better, a lot more streamlined. But we'll see what happens. You'll see what happens. My prayers go to Darmar Hamlin and his family, everybody that supports the Buffalo Bills, every Buffalo Bill, everybody in Western New York. Happy birthday to my grandmother. She is 94. And, her perspective on stuff like this is always appreciated. And I'll probably call her tomorrow and actually talk to her about this. Absolutely. Grams doesn't really follow the team like most Western New Yorkers do, but she's 94. She likes to play puzzles and listen to music. I mean, leave her alone. She put her time in. She do what she wants. But she's witty. She's smart and she's witty, and you can have a conversation with her like you're talking to like a regular, 30-something, 40-something person. Like she's all there and then some, and she can still cook. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, prayers. I've been seeing a lot of people, a lot of outreach from non-Western New York, non-Buffalo people. Like Instagram was crazy today. People that I talked to from Finland were hitting me up and asking me about what's happened in Buffalo with the player. Because they see all my posts and they see that, almost every week I'm posting at least 3 or 4 pictures of Buffalo this, Buffalo that. So they have an identity. People who follow me from overseas kind of know like what I'm into, and they reached out to me. I'm a nobody. I only have 2,000 people that follow me, but somewhere, somehow there are people out there that see what I'm doing and they appreciate it and they want to know more. I'm not a journalist. I have an associate science degree in film, and I'm disabled now with my vision and with my diabetes, ketoacidosis, pancreatitis, all kinds of stuff. We'll get into that. Trust me, we'll get into that. All this happened right when I got COVID. I mean, I was already a diabetic, but when I got COVID, it got worse, and we'll talk about that. All right, so I'm going to close this out. We're hitting the 30-minute mark here, and I don't know how long these will be. Like I said, right now this was unscripted. I thought the 50-minute version I did earlier was much, much more organized. But I had a technical glitch, and I didn't look at it before I hit the record button, and boop, that's what happens. So, yeah, it's a shame that we can't post that one because I think that one would have been a lot better. I mean, I kind of look like an idiot, I think, in this one, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Um, you know, when you do things unscripted and you have a scatterbrain like me, it really can affect how things work and whatnot. And when I try to make a point, if I can't make my point without being interrupted or something takes my attention away, I will lose my point and I can't get it back. And it's one of the most depressing things I've had to deal with, along with my health and mental health, is when I feel like I'm really on a roll to make a point on something, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. And not really feeling that. Let me see here if I can find this last quote here about creativity. And okay, here we go. And let's see if anybody might understand this. It's a quote. I'm not going to tell you who it's from, but if you've seen the show, then you already know what the quote is. You're only proud of your creation. You're only proud of your creation's success because you want to be creative. But creation doesn't happen through gimmicks, technology, and distribution. It doesn't even happen through work. Creativity is frankly adjacent to mental illness and overlaps with it substantially. A lot of talented people kill themselves, and all of them are miserable. The real gift is to be ungifted. That's the gift you were given. So, you want to be creative, but understand that your creativeness might be a fucking train wreck to somebody else. And what you think is great might not even be considered good amongst the masses. And I've had to learn that the hard way, So, with that said, I think we're going to call it a day. And thanks for tuning in. And like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Please comment. Please give me some feedback. Even if you think I'm a shit. Even if you think I'm an asshole for talking about football when this guy's fighting for his life, comment on it, please. Because I need to know these things. I need to know if I'm on, if people agree with me or not, or maybe my thinking's off. And my thinking could be very much off. Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that. I got bipolar and I'm manic. I got all kinds of issues. I don't get medication for them. So, I mean, yeah, I could be fucking whack right now. But no, really, I mean, I want to have conversations about important topics. But when we have these conversations, they need to be analytical and they need to come from a good place intentionally. Your intention means a lot. Even if you do the wrong thing, but you intended to do really good things for it, there is some solace in that. It's not all just negative because it didn't work out. I can't hurt people for wanting to to give me the insight that maybe I can do, if I nudge this way or nudge that way, it might work out. But at the same time, you can't project it onto me either. That's where people fail with me all the time. They think they can inspire me by hurting my feelings, by breaking the things I'm passionate about down. That doesn't inspire me to do better. That makes me hate you. And if I hate you, then the last thing you want is my undivided attention focused on you. So we don't do that. I get away from negative people, and I've left jobs over it. I've quit relationships over it. I quit arrangements over it. If you're that kind of person that has to constantly project who you are and what you're about onto other people because you don't agree with what they're doing and you want them to fit in your bubble life, You need to get the fuck out of my life. That's how I feel about that. Just stay in your lane. Sure, you want to be a friend? Cool. Be a friend. But don't impose your will on other people, because that's not going to work with everyone. And in fact, it won't work on anyone because their process is different. How they process things is different. How they feel about things is different than you. And just because you have some kind of connection with them doesn't mean what worked for you is going to work for them. That's important. All right, people. Good night. See ya. No outros either. We don't do outros yet. Maybe. We'll see.